scrimming against Pudges nowadays, and just getting caught off and taken out of that comfort zone, you could suddenly not be playing your A game, and a team like a Leviathan can certainly capitalize on it.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's really on point. And along with that, they're going to be banning out the Clockwork. So right now, they're just banning Jenkins in general. I mean, Tusk, Clockwork, Fudge, these are the heroes you'd expect them to play, and still pick up the Spirit Breaker here. But I'm curious of how effective it would be. I think it's still not bad. I mean, Bounty Hunter, Spirit Breaker. If the Cloud9 have just stunning supports, it might not be as effective. But overall, I think it could still give some good value.
He does play Queen of Pain. He used to play a lot of Queen of Pain Blaze, and we know Queen of Pain's very good against someone like Tusk. I'm curious if it's something they do decide to go for. It was back when Queen was usually always first big, first pan. They would grab it up and experiment with it a lot on Jenkins in the off lane. It could be something they fall back on, though. I haven't seen the Jenkins Queen of Pain in quite some time. In the meantime, though, they grab up the Ember Spirit here, really turning into a mirror match of what we saw last time. This is exactly how Cloud9 threw together their draft to the T, with the exception of Bounty Hunter first, TA second. Then they followed up with the Ember Spirit. So normally it'd be a Dazzle at this point, but Cloud9 has already claimed the Dazzle for Theban themselves. So if they want to get that secondary support, someone selfless, maybe the Witch Doctor is the right choice for him. We'll have to see.
Definitely a lot of ways to make it work here, but yeah, it is essentially if you can't beat them, join them. They play all these heroes just the same. I actually have not seen Francis pick up the Ember Spirit, but we see what he does with Storm Spirit. We see what he does with Naga. You can definitely have similar farming routes as well as reliance on your mobility with this kind of a hero. On the other hand, Cloud9, they're probably going to be looking to get some kind of good silence of some sort in play as the game progresses. For now, though, they're going to follow through and actually go for a Spectre as their carry for Ritsu. So they're like, okay, well, Ember Spirit is going to be mostly focused on farming. He's going to be playing it pretty passive. As long as we can get one really good support, or at least some really good Tusk play to cover up the Spectre, then we should and taking this to the next stage. So it's kind of a greedy pick, as it is. I would say all of Cloud9's heroes can benefit a lot from farm, but at the same time, that just means that the more passive, the better for their gameplay here.
We also can't. We also should consider the option that they could just swap the roles altogether and put Francis on TA mid lane and keep Shibby on Ember and safe lane. I want to say I've seen Shibby play Ember safe lane when he stood in for Root Gaming. I believe that was over in Nanyang. I'm not too sure, but he has played Ember safe lane, and they could, change things up there. We'll have to see. But yeah, the Spectre grab, something Ritsu is kind of brought back again into the limelight here since days of like Pat Soul really pulling it out, and it's got a lot of the more popular players like Envy and Arteezy kind of percolated a bit, and they've been even taking it into the pubs themselves and seeing really what they could do with it. And takeability is going to be a big thing here, and something Spectre could go for. I mean, remember we saw those matches committing for, was it the Spectre where he did the almost the Heart and the Scotty together? It was just ridiculous the way they wanted to take advantage of that dispersion.
Yeah, they definitely can, but in the early game, I still think it's going to be a bit of a liability. We're going to have to see the Dazzle very on point. Can't afford to go for the Poison Touch here. Like we were talking about the ability of keeping the Ember Spirit alive versus getting some extra harassment in. I don't think that Spectre is in any way the same hero as Ember Spirit. Like you really need to keep him alive, keep him sustained, and you need to go for defensive spells, and that's going to be even more true now that they're up against an Undying. Bounty Hunter, Undying, going against Spectre, Dazzle. There's no way they kill the Tombstone, even with the help of the Tusk, and they're just going to have to play it very far back and keep the heals flowing. So I would say definitely a 0-1-2 build coming out of Dazzle, and the Spectre, while he will be kind of offensive when his ultimate's available, for the most part, he's just going to be hiding and farming.
So we look for the Brax hero now, someone who is going to have to take over while the Spectre is hiding and farming, who is going to kind of take the role of the, lead damage. Something that's got to be able to hold its own. I don't think any sort of hefty magic damage is going to be too nice here with the Ember in play. And now that they're lacking a lot of Tombstone options, Wind Ranger seems to be an option, but that was banned out. Oh, yeah. So what can we get in her place to assist?
I mean, there's maybe like Pain is still pretty good here. I want to say like Zeus, because you're up against a few heroes that are kind of frustrated by that hero, and then the Spectre is really good with it.
Of course.
But This is something different. This is going to allow them to really hold their ground. They're going to be able to pretty much control the Radiant jungle in a way that you normally can't against the Bounty Hunter, because you've got Hawk Vision, you've got Boar Slow, the Aurora. You can really punish position errors. So they've got the long-term the attack speed aura, which will help against the Undying Tombstone, help for taking objectives, and in general they have a real strong beefy lineup. For melee, of course, in limitation, but if you look at the Leviathan lineup, it's not really punishing that, other than perhaps the Battle Fury and Ember.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and hop into the game here, folks, and this starts off match number 2 of this best of 5 grand final for BTS Americas here, with already Cloud9 up 1 match. Just give you guys a heads up, obviously there is no match round ticker above. It's something else with Reborn. Unfortunately, it doesn't work properly, so we will not have the proper indicators above just due to a limitation. But I assure you, Cloud9 up 1 game here, looking to kind of push it into a 2-0 start if possible. And again, we're not seeing, this time, Leviathan considering that 5-man smoke, which got them that early sweet first blood in the previous game. Cloud9 probably going to look to be on their toes for this. They scout out the offlane where there's not going to be anyone to invade, so Cloud9 could be like, okay, well, they might be moving together as 5. Be on watch. But it looks like for now they're just going to split the aggression between both sides. So they will be down on vision, it looks like, Blaze, in the early part of the game, specifically for Jenkins.
Yep, they're not going to detect the Bounty Hunter roaming through, so he's going to get that scout off, and he's going to get some good intel for them. But I wanted you to look at real quick at the item tab for Cloud9. This is like the second time I've ever seen this, but 4 stout shields in the opening gambit. That's really just showing that they want to be involved in the lanes, that they are okay with taking a few pot shots here and there. They're going to be blocking a lot of right clicks.
That is pretty ridiculous. And we'll see if they're as hungry to go toe-to-toe right here and now. It's going to be very scary to go into a decaying Jenkins Undying, which he gets one off. And look at that snag Ritsu. I've seen him do this before. Just a cheeky play. Comes out from that upper ledge balcony. Daggers down. Thank you very much. And 180's right back. Ritsu will get the bounty rune right under the nose of Leviathan.
No, Shibby has to make a choice. Does he go for the top bounty rune? Does he even think that it's been still there? Because the Darkseer had an opportunity to take it. So they'll scout it out. Oh, they don't scout it out? Nobody has seen this bounty rune. This is 100 golden experience sitting on the table for what will be at least the first minute of the game.
Oh, man.
But yeah, how important do you think this is? If Shibby can rotate it for it, he misses out like half a lane of creeps. I would say just the Witch Doctor sees it and grabs it more than anything. Yeah,
ideally if he happened to walk through the river, but maybe he was fearsome of any sort of early ward from Cloud9 or something, just takes the safer path. But that means there's going to be no rune grabbed up and possibly someone to get 2. All the meanwhile, it looks like Dazzle's going to get picked off in the bottom lane right after the conclusion of that pause. And it will be Leviathan who do strike first. And they're able to get some good damage here onto Ritsu and keep him back.
Yeah, it looks like he had issues getting his health back up. He has only eaten 1 tango, and he walked away from that first the bounty rune exchange with only 20% HP. So he didn't get his health back up before he came out into a dangerous position, and Flying Zebra finds an opportunity to punish that with the Orb of Venom. That bounty rune. Can you imagine if this bounty rune actually expires? Like at 2 minutes. I would probably say in all of 6.84, that's probably the first time I've seen a bounty rune just go untouched. Completely, at least for the level 1 spawn.
If not that, then someone's going to get there a bit early before the 2-minute mark and get a sweet double rune. But I don't see them rotating there quite yet. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case or not. But I agree, that's a good 100 gold boost that will be neglected all the way through. It looks like they're going to get some mana back on the bottom lane. But top lane, MSS, he does get cursed up here. Nusham has that early point into Maledict right now. Not going to force any sort of triggering defense here from MSS. He still has the surge. There is going to be the cast. He's waiting for the surge to get in with the chains, but MSS is faking it out. Oh, so I guess MSS just thinking they would be coming, walks away, and they don't get it. But bottom lane, again, that's where the action actually is going to be happening. This time they get a catch on the SVG. I should just keep my camera down here. This is where the bloodshed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 2v3, but it is the 2 most aggressive heroes on the map getting involved here, so we're going to see more and more. Now the Janata, we'll probably just keep an eye on Bounty Hunter and Jungle, because Flying Zebra has kill potential in mid and bottom, and yeah, in the meantime, there's really not much they can do to the Darkseer. In fact, I don't even know exactly why you'd go for Sleight of Fist here as the Ember Spirit. Obviously, if you're getting hit by a snowball, then that is going to be a great skill, but Maybe he thought the Tusk would be more involved top than bottom.
They're using that haster, and they're looking to make a go here on the 1-4-3-7, and they can't finish him off. They're not going to commit all the way in. One more strike would have done it.
I don't think they counted his mana. I think they thought that he had the Shallow Grave when in fact he was about 10 mana short, and they assumed that that would have been a failed dive thanks to the Shallow Grave.
Well, they'll play it safe, but that means that opportunity is going to be gone, and Jenkins on the retreat, briefly blocked out as he takes shard damage, but he will be fine. And they're just going to keep this Bounty Hunter down here, and they're just trying to perplex Ritsu a bit so he can't farm up easily, but he's still finding some respectable CS up to 14 now. He's up there neck and neck with the best, but Tombstone going to be committed. Snowball forward. They're going for Jenkins. Dagger's going to connect. There's the shards. He's blocked. He's dead. Ritsu's going to pick up that kill. Back in behind. Zebra is able to get the catch onto the Dazzle, but it's a trade that Cloud9 are going to be happy with, and they're going to be able to farm up the Tombstone. Now look at this. Ritsu eating a lot of damage. They consider a man fight. Zebra does not want to play that game of chicken and will pull off.
Alright, so, I mean, very active engagements here. It is going to be 1-1-2 for the Undying, which is not bad at all, but he will have to wait a little bit for that Tombstone to get relevant once more, and in the meantime, the Dazzle here has full mana again, so they're going to be spamming those heals a lot. Healing effects in general are really good once you're under the effects of Decay, because that's just a temporary strength creation, and it actually makes both damage and healing more relevant as soon as that's about to expire.
You just gotta be careful you're not too low in the HP pool, and then a crazy little shuriken will fly in, and next thing you know you've lost all of your life just by its huge burst. It does look like he is putting more value in leveling up the Q on this Bounty Hunter, so that could be real hard-hitting damage. And I love when they do the crafty tricks later on. You get a track out, you quickly track, and then just quickly throw the shuriken at your nearby creep, and it will bounce quite a range away and just allow you to get that early mini stun and big hit of damage. He makes his return back to bottom here and almost walks himself into a freshly planted sentry, something that he will probably get noticed here. But look at a commitment of a Tombstone here from Jenkins. SVG looks to back away. He has a DD rune here, but they want to swing. There's the damage. Heal comes out from Theban. We'll keep him fine. And Jenkins might have to consider bouncing back. They get a nice catch though onto Zebra with a sentry on the side. They even pull out the dust. And it looks like they will take down the little Bounty Hunter under the glitter.
Up top, Nusham just going to go down to a right click from MSS. He's going to get a double kill. Oh my god.
That's what I'm talking about. MSS just again able to capitalize in a 2v1 and recognizing when he's able to push on in and just so much Ion Shell damage. He takes down 2. This is a huge win for Cloud9 in the offlane.
Just that bottle arcane build, just allowing him to do so much with the Ion Shell. Just keep spamming that out, and yeah, he's getting a ton of value out of it. He's actually the top of the net worth right now, above his Spectre. Like this Darkseer, it's actually going to be like large and in charge this game, and I almost feel like they have to start rotating to deal with it somehow.
Mid lane, Brax in trouble here. Shibby might get him. He's going to force out the Primal Roar. It might give him enough space to make it away, and he's fine. He is fine. He will bottle up now. Well, that got very scary real quick, and he had to pull out the ult defensively. Shibby will be denied.
And I believe a Hawk scouted the flying Zebra movement there, so they know he's up top in general, but they might not know specifically where. There is a surge here, should be enough to get MSS out of here, and he's just going to have to walk away from the rune spawn. So Shibby gets a bounty, and it's going to be actually a haste for SVG on the Tusk.
Oh, let's see what he can do with it here. Still level 3, putting 2 levels into those shards. See if they can get some sort of catch here onto Jenkins. Level 5, 3 into Tombstone here. If they can take him down, they might be able to get rewarded with an extra prize in the Tombstone once he commits it, which he does. He has no rotation, no help. He'll pull out the Soul Rip, but it might be delaying the inevitable. He'll continue to try to dish out any decay he can, but the heals start coming out from the Dazzle, and they will keep him alive and well. They turn their attention instead on the Tombstone. Quickly want to take it down.
Oh, he's going to get him?
And they actually get SVG. Jenkins turns back, big decay damage.
In mid?
And he'll take it down. Mid lane, we get the very back end of a Brax catch right there. They sweep in. Nusham's going to get the kill.
Very nicely done. Just obviously a lot of slows, a lot of stuns, and TA brings the damage. So they're going to be able to clean that up nicely. And they're actually starting to bounce back despite their losses early on top lane. So actually really good for the Undying. I mean, Jenkins kiting his opponents based on the amount of zombie slows they had. That's the weakness of all these melee heroes, is they're going to be slowed significantly this game, and you're going to be able to kind of just outmaneuver them by walking. And we're actually going to see burst damage, bringing Ritsu low, but he's got the magic stick and the Dazzle behind him, and yeah, he's just not going down. He's got the Mango regen while the Decay is active. It really helps him out too. So honestly, he's probably the hardest one to bring down of them all.
Oh, certainly. And he's about to be level 6, and once he gets that Haunt, he would only be harder to bring down. And in fact, it could be Cloud9 who instead look to go on the offensive. Jenkins will commit another Tombstone here, and he's happy with it, even if it forces Ritsu back and away from the farm and allows him to kind of get a free lane to work with, which seems to be the case here. Let's go back with MSS, still up at top, 32 and 1 CS, but holds second in net worth here as he does some good damage on the Noosh. Will eat a coconut, but he is on the way of building up a mech. It looks like he already has the ring. He got early arcane boots. Just sitting pretty right now at a sweet level 8 at 8 minutes in.
I think they want to go on MSS, but I'm not sure if they have it. There was only one Searing Chains. Level 1 Searing Chains is going to come out here against MSS, and they will be able to follow it up with one more hit. So this should be the kill on to the Darkseer. Tries to go for a cute vacuum play. In the end, though, they finally pick up that big kill.
Big grab, had been long overdue. Can they make it away with their life? Beautiful block, though, comes out from SVG, and that's going to be the Haunt coming in from Ritsu. This is disaster for Ember. It looks like he could potentially be brought down. Oh, big rended up to the high ground to make it away. Not so lucky, though, for the Witch Doctor. Gets a chains onto Ritsu, but he is still a man, weak and wounded. The urn is out. There's the shards. It's a double kill for Ritsu. And now here comes the rest of the Leviathan. Shibby looking to move in, trying to get a catch onto Brax. Jenkins with a tomb committed here. Ritsu able to dagger. Going into the matrix of Dota right now as he hides through the cliff. Now goes behind the camp looking to go back down. What the hell's happening?
Wow.
He just slips out. He's manipulating the game's matrix as he's able to get the hell away. Still now, again, going into a different land. Find Ice Frog. Tell us when the patch comes out. He'll look at hideout for now. He's still just like hiding up in the... He makes it back towards 1437, gets healed up. High fives his team on a successful movement, and now we have an even ball game, 6-6.
Well, now he's thinking with portals. That was just a really nice movement there, manipulating the cliff walking, and suddenly he gets out home free. He gets the treads finished, doesn't go for the Ring of Aquila. I guess he's going to sell the Wraith Band sooner rather than later. And yeah, he's going to be building up this very combat-centric build. Could see maybe like a Yasha on him or something. Right now, the Urn of Shadows is the key item, though. This allows him, every time he gets involved with a Haunt and finds himself involved in some kills, he gets an item that makes him tankier, gives him self-sustain, and even potentially damage nukes as he chases his opposition down. It's actually pretty much the bread and butter item of a Spectre that's not farming to Russian.
Oh, without question. You Haunt in there, that's easy charges. Makes for easy life, easy farming, and additional damage later on. MSS, as he plants himself, will grab up the Illusion Rune here and charge himself back to lane here.
I'll have to give credit where credit's due. SVG's Ice Shards did set that up really nicely. 2-man Ice Shard catch out in the choke point towards the top rune. Set up the Haunt, the Roar, everything. So, really solid. Obviously, another big aspect was the heavy commitment from Francis with his Remnants. I'm not sure if he was out of charges or just mana, but he definitely couldn't get out of that situation. And Brax won't bounce the cask, so I think most of these spells will be kind of wasted, but they really clearly want this tier power.
Brax still gets to hold his Primal Roar and just kind of steps back a bit. The timing of this potential tower takedown in the life of this Tombstone could be good for C9 if they want to counter with an engagement. They pull out the Glyph. They can't get themselves in an appropriate position right now. They'll utilize the bird to maybe get any sort of extra vision from the high ground here, but as you see rotations come, another Ice Shard block. MSS committing in, could get a big vacuum here. Oh, only gets the one Nutrition right there at the end. The follow-up Primal Roar, it'll be an easy kill on the support. Not a juicy target like they were hoping for there. It looks like rotation in from your Ember Spirit, and obviously Ritsu does commit the Haunt.
That's awesome, actually. Ritsu goes top. That's he sees the Ember TPing then, and he's like, hey, a free lane for me to farm. We already got the kill we were looking for. I contributed with hitting the R key, and now suddenly I'm in full farm mode again. This is really just Ritsu all over. The unorthodox farming patterns. You wouldn't really see before the 12-minute mark the Spectre farming next to the enemy's tier 1 in the off lane, but he just finds that kind of timing window where it's pretty much the safest place on the map.
Alright, everyone watching in Dota TV, don't panic. The live stream has gone down as it usually does, unfortunately. Right after Ritsu was showing off his Matrix play, apparently, the whole stream didn't want to cooperate. I have shut it down. It will be back up in a couple of moments. I'll have to wait out the delay. I'm sure I'll be hearing plenty about it, but we'll proceed on in the meantime before I get it right back up. 12-minute rune is going to get snagged up here. MSS unable to get a catch on it. Shibby, though, we haven't been able to talk much about this TA really being a factor. I mean, you look at the difference between this performance now and the one from Braxton last game, and the Shibby just kind of have a ways to go. It seems like it's not going to be an easy build towards this Desolator unless they're able to, you know, get some towers like this one.
Yeah, I mean, major objectives will certainly help that a lot. If you can get the tier 1 bottom and look towards Roche, that'll speed it up quite quickly. But the one thing I would have to say is that they really haven't been emphasizing ancient stacking on the Dire side very much. So his farming has been hurt. He's still technically the top of the net worth, as I think he's cleared 1 triple stack. But it's just, by this point, you actually see TA's farming even more than that very frequently. So, at least for now, he's not doing great, but he's not doing too bad either. He's kind of in that average time, but we'll actually see a pretty big engagement here now that the Grave is on cooldown. They want 1 for 3-7, but it cost them their Ember Spirit.
Oh man, yeah, big catch with the uppercut. There's a good wall, but this Death Ward from Newsham is doing some good work. Forces them back. MSS gonna eat a lot of damage, and now look at this. It's Leviathan pushing on in, and they're gonna get the catch. Brax is gonna get annihilated there from Shibby with his huge meld strike. And they're on pursuit here. Ritsu already working with this bottom lane farming, will not be there to help out. And Leviathan will take a big swing in this fight, the biggest one for them this game so far, taking down 3. They lose no one, and they're going to confidently stride this top lane and try to go for a tier 1.
Good stuff, and this tier 1 should fall pretty quickly here. I mean, they are rotating to bring people in, but it just seems so difficult when they've already committed so much. Spectre does not want to fight this, period, so it's just going to be a dead tier 1. And that's I gave a couple of options of how she gets the farm back. This is probably the best one that I didn't even know was possible until we saw how they outmaneuvered Cloud9 there. Shibby got like part of 2 or 3 track kills, and suddenly he's very close to that Desolator. So track gold coming online at the perfect time, and they really were able to decimate C9 because the Dazzle died so early. And of course, like you mentioned, the Death Board did some amazing work.
All right, we're back, people. Apologies again for the downtime on the stream. Again, I don't know what the hell's happening. It just goes. Doesn't even give me a sound notification, but we should be back and well. A little bit of a scuttle did break out. Leviathan get their first promising fight, and now we're going to be up ahead 9-7, though net worth is still going to be in their favor. 5K, XP, much closer here. C9 continue to bank on this. We'll let Ritsu continue to farm up, and we'll just try to split the objectives otherwise. But look at this. Speaking of going for objectives, Leviathan head into the Roche pit here and get the party started. Ritsu is the closest nearby. He's already committed his dagger elsewhere. But a scouting weave from Theban could give him the idea on what's going on.
Even if they know, I mean, how do they get there? The big thing is the Darkseer getting the vacuum wall, preferably on a cliff, and to try to get to that position from just straight up the mid lane within about 10 seconds time is nearly impossible without just running into 5 people directly. So yeah, we're gonna see the Roshan go down, team fight and track momentum going in favor of Team Leviathan, and they're starting to get tower control. Really, the only thing they have to worry about now is the scalability factor. Is Ritsu's late game stronger than theirs? And it really comes down to how much they punish him in the next few minutes.
And this is the best time to punish him while he's going for that sprint of the Radiance here, already holding about 2,400 gold. This is where you're going to expect Ritsu to play, you know, very sheep-like. Hiding in the wings, building up farm, only committing in with a big haunt fight if they feel it's, you know, crucial for them and they'll be able to get out on top. Otherwise, they might just have to accept this pressure coming in. Almost feels a bit like what we saw in the last game, Blaze. They recognized that Leviathan had the Naga and wanted to take this pretty late and get that late game potential. But Cloud9 just kind of pulled up early and ahead and did not want to let up the pressure, did not want to allow the Naga to find anywhere safe to farm. And they're trying to do it themselves. This tier 2 mid lane taking quite a bit of work to bring down, and it's going to be an even trade as Cloud9 will take the tier 2 top.
Yes, but I still think that right now it puts Leviathan in a better position. The tier 2 top gets some gold to Cloud9, but it doesn't change the fact that now Team Leviathan is in a position where they can start looking to break race with this Aegis. They have the Desolator, they have Refraction, and if they time that with the Creep Wave here, I mean, you got a double Refraction for your first life guaranteed for Shibby, and this wall vacuum has to be perfect.
They're committing in with the
vacuum
tomb.
Actually just got put on cooldown mid. Darkseer is rotating, but he's not available to fight for 20 seconds.
Uh-oh, that is a big crucial component, and if Leviathan are onto it here, they can be comfortable with their holding position and stay clumped up, which they pretty much are now. They're going to town here, trying to get this tier 3 and expose the Rax. Brax waiting out, still has Primal Roar, and that's all they want to do. They're not going to be able to finish out the tier 3. It's actually almost in deny territory. They'll have to hand over the tombstone and set off ship elsewhere.
Yeah, it's not that bad though. I mean, they obviously didn't lose the Aegis. Ember's gonna go ahead and grab some refills with the bottles. They probably will try to do the handover trick if possible, but nah, it looks like they're just going to be going and back to the farm again. They have forced all of Cloud9 back, which means they're not spreading the map, and it will take a while to get them in position to do that. And of course, that's a way to establish dominance over Ritsu as well. Ritsu's at 3,300, and he's working his way there, but this Aegis cycle is where they expect to take Rax, and the Radiants won't be involved within these next 2 minutes.
So Leviathan continue to be a problem here in the mid lane for Cloud9. They have the fight here. Vacuum is now going to be ready with the wall. Mech online. Brax has Primal Roar. Tracks are starting to come out, so Leviathan will have vision. Oh, big set. Big more Vacuum in the wall. Comes the Haunt. Here comes some destruction from Cloud9. Nushim gets the ward down, but he's quickly taken care of from Ritsu. Brax already with the double. Shibby forced to retreat out, very low on life. Refraction's going to be down. And there goes Francis on the retreat. Weak and wounded. They definitely took a shot to the jaw. Not completely knocked out, but it's enough to force him away from the C9 base.
Yeah, pretty good defense there from Cloud9. I mean, just combining their efforts and getting a really good vac wall, just blocking things off, pretty much as you'd expected by the book. The one thing I'll say is that the Team Leviathan went in without a mechanism available. The Undying's mech was on cooldown for 2 seconds when he died, as well as the fact that he didn't have any mana to work with there. So, just all in all, not a great place for the Undying to be in, and he got focused on by the Roar. So they kill the mech carrier before the mech becomes a factor, and from there, Leviathan scatter. They don't finish the tier 3, it gets denied from 1 hit from death. And then Cloud9 are actually more confident now than they were a few moments before.
And now those items are starting to trickle in a bit here. We already have that relic onto Ritsu. Brax gets his first level of the good book, the Necronomicon. Slowly evolving into that Zookeeper build-up here. Shibby, though, he's moving in, gets the sight of Brax, commits in with the TP, and not going to be TPing anywhere. Shibby is going to be eating the stun, but they're on chase. And it looks like Francis wants to catch up, but what a beautiful block from SVG will keep the others back. Though Francis is still able to get there. He will try to burn him down. Remnant jump in. Brax is still holding on. He's going to get the Grave. Even going to be able to save him out, and he's looking to retreat, but Francis is persistent. He wants this kill. He finally gets to Brax and slashes the throat. He'll go down. Score now 9-11 here. Leviathan, though, had to really sweat it out for that one.
Definitely. There were a lot of factors going into that, but the drum still gives them the distance that at least one hero stays on him, and the Beastmaster does eventually fall, though it mostly comes down to the fact the Haunt wasn't available and they weren't willing to take that fight. Now, Ember Spirit's got to go back to get mana and Remnant forward once again, and then I think they want to try to rinse and repeat while this Aegis, well, the Aegis is on, but they still want to take advantage of the tier 3 opening.
Here's Francis back, and they're going to get another vacuum wall here, but they do sidestep it. Tombstone's going to be committed in the middle. This cast starts locking down Cloud9 quite a bit. They will have to kind of regroup here. SVG, casual uppercut on a creep, because it looked at him funny. I understand that sometimes, but here we go. It looks like range. Rax will be first to fall. Still Cloud9, regrouping a bit. Rax has the Primal Roar, dishes out the axes, but got knocked with the cask, so couldn't get in there with the ultimate. Looks like Tomb will go down, and they're still hanging around here. There's the Haunt. Follow-up vacuum. Snowball on in, comes out from SVG. They're going to get the connection of the uppercut there onto Francis. He's running away. Ember very low on life at this point. And Cloud9 do not want to overstep their boundaries here. Getting too bloodthirsty. Won't get the connection with the shards. And Leviathan know where they are. They're chasing him, tracked up. Still persisted, though. The bird scouting out. They snowball in with Brax in hand now. Still holding that Primal Roar. SVG's in trouble. They're going to have to ditch out the roll to help him out. Jack is very low on life. Ritsu goes in. He's able to get the cleanup.
Nobody's focusing the
Tombstone with the shallow grave, and they're going in. The Tombstone, though, stands tall, but it doesn't matter. It looks like they're going to be able to clean house here. Francis doubles back. He gets a huge couple of kills. Ritsu running away here, but he's tracked up. Can this Spectre once again go into the Matrix and make it away? But what a catch of the chains here coming out from Francis. Ritsu, though, able to still make his way into the Oblivion, but no, is stuck there in the corner. They'll be able to scout him out and take him down. Leviathan have just team-wiped Cloud9.
Absolutely clutch, and it just comes down to what we were seeing in the last game, in the end of the last game in particular, where, yeah, the hero gets the Radiance, but every minute after that, point is just forced to fight, and those fights don't involve farming, don't involve progressing to the next item, which is all the more important for the Spectre to stay alive, stay durable, and start manning up. Another big factor of this game is the wall replica, despite being a good nuke in damage, is actually really bad in terms of illusions it creates. Ember Spirit, TA, they produce horrible illusions. They barely rely on their natural stats, and mostly rely on attack damage boosters like the refraction. So here we see the wall not doing enough to entirely wipe them out, and they're going to commit for the melee racks.
They're going to have to try another team fight here. MSS has everything ready to go. He's hiding way south to try to just get a good sneak attack in. He sees it now. He'll go in. The vacuum's on the 3. It's a good wall. Zebra eats a lot of damage, but there's going to be the quick mech as they try to shrug it off. Sleight of Fist are coming out. Rich is going to commit the haunt here. They're going to get the quick kill, taking out Francis. Newsham able to TP away, but they go out. They're looking for Jenkins. Zebra goes up north. They ping for him. He goes for a TP. He's going to get scouted. He's going to get killed. Won't be able to make it away. Jenkins will be fortunate enough to make it out. Same with Newsham. Leviathan do lose 3 here. Did they overstay their welcome there, Blaze? And just allow
it's for the melee
to
racks,
regroup.
right? Their game plan is to end this game, and the racks are a critical part of that. So they do end up feeding away a lot of gold. The fight recap lists it at about a 4,500 gold swing, which is pretty huge, along with this tier 1. In the end, they still have to make sacrifices to make the racks fall and to put continuous pressure out against Cloud9. It's hard. The longer the game goes on, the better the play that is, but right now it hurts them because obviously the gold is what Cloud9 are looking for.
They're almost getting a 2-tower special, but as they go for the tier 2, it looks like Leviathan will be coming back, so they will pull off and head back to their side of the river. But Leviathan put themselves in a pretty good position with one lane now in control. They can kind of work with the timing of this. Roche probably next up on the docket here, I'd imagine, for Leviathan. The trap is already going to be there from Shibby. Sigil was there at the back end, could have scouted that. So you know C9 are going to be keeping tabs as well, and they can certainly do it here, Blaze. They have a Sigil, they have a Hawk. They'll know when Leviathan want to make that kind of move into the pit, but do they have...
I think they got the kill top.
Yeah.
They have the Necro 3, the Roar, and the Blink Walrus Punch. Comes about actually closing the distance beyond just the Blink Dagger.
Just commits the Sleight of Fist.
Are they waiting for Haunt? I mean, that's pretty patient.
He misclicks with the uppercut, but hey, they might have enough lockdown. They will. They got the Beast Roar, and they'll still get the execution onto Francis. Now, the rest of their team will quickly go into the pit, try to make do with the space he ended up creating, and it looks like they will be able to grab this Aegis. C9 will not contest. They will instead continue to push out that top lane. MSS will Iron Shell and try to push out this middle lane. Not going to be easy, though, with those racks already taken down. But with this now, and once Francis gets back, Blaze, should Leviathan just continue to try to make their presence inside the C9 base?
I would say so. I mean, there's really not much else you can get out of just farming at this point in time. You have to push out your lanes to secure that you can actually keep pushing, but at this point, they have the items they need. The Aegis, the BKB, the Dezo for the TA. It won't be great against the Solar Crest that 1437 just got to pick up, but you'll have to make do, and maybe wait till he Solar Crests you and then pop the B. Other than that, like, yeah, they have what they need to break it, and it just comes down to execution. If they can do it quickly enough, because right now for Leviathan they need a swift strike, right? Because the Radiance is going to be clearing out waves over and over again, and Ritsu's going to be spreading the map and farming, and he's actually rapidly approaching level 16. So things are bottling up against Leviathan here, and this is going to become pretty much a pressurized zone where the racks die within the next 5 minutes, or things get very dicey for Leviathan.
Yeah, especially once the Spectre begins to tank up. It looks like we'll step off for your Yasha into a Manta buildup, but once then the Heart comes into play, it becomes very tough to break through the Spectre buildup, and your supports on the side of Leviathan can get very sketched out. Now look at this, Jenkins Moves in, Tombstone committed here, try to get the extra slow onto Brax. They already committed Shuriken, they get changed, they got it! Woo! Francis shows up just in the nick of time, gets the catch onto Brax, and the Beastmaster will go down.
Now the question is, do they worry about bottom? Jenkins rotates there for now. He's going to at least force them back, but could they go with, since there's no Beastmaster, could they still keep pressuring? It seems that Newsham thinks so, but he can't do it alone. And actually SVG almost trying to punish that, but he'll snowball back.
Ooh, went in there hoping to get a quick uppercut, but now he gets caught with the chains instead. Just looking to get rid of this pressure at top lane. But they don't have
Jenkins, like,
Jenkins.
he TP'd in Flesh Golem bottom,
Yeah.
like, he can't really contribute to that. So, although the Beastmaster pick is nice, it doesn't seem like it gets them anything. Maybe, are they looking for a smoke here? No, they don't have any on them, so they can't really go for a regoose. They have to just go back to what they were doing and hope for another opportunity.
And for now, that seems to be they'll farm up the C9 Ancient Camp here. But they don't have time. Time's not really on their side here. Ritsu sees the opportunity, goes right back to farming this bottom lane. Almost has that ulti orb here. So if C9 are not able to either get an opportunity to pick him off and take him out before push, they'll need to make a push happen and just force Ritsu to come back. And mid lane, Shibi's going to get it started there. 2.5k saved up after he already has Blaze, Deso, BKB, and Blink Dagger. What does he need to look for next? Is it just more damage to break through this? Oh, no, Shibi, though. Oh, he might not be having that much gold for very longer, Blaze. He gets scouted out. They move in. That's going to be the Aegis. We'll try for it. Whoop. Weave, actually, will not catch him. Only catches Francis there. And MSS moves in like he wants to do something.
I mean, that is, in my mind, the same exact thing, if not better than killing the TA herself. Taking the Aegis away takes away their siege potential in a really big way.
Oh, yes.
As far as next item, MKB, almost undoubtedly. The fact is, you're going up against that Solar Crest, and it's going to be on you every fight, unless you can somehow burst the Dazzle before we can react.
So let's see what Leviathan can do without an Aegis here. They know that they
16.
need to move in. And yeah, as you said, Ritsu now level 16, level 3 Haunt ready to go. This is a Radiance Haunt. And it looks like they're going to have to step off. It looks like Francis will be the one to stop the pressure here on the lane and already put down a Remnant to return. So they can't go too far. But pings are out. They're pinging out. They're going to use the Hawk to scout the Remnant left behind. I don't know if that's a piece of intel that Cloud9 want to try to use offensively. But for now, they're just waiting inside their base. And Leviathan don't even continue their push here, Blaze. They just step back and continue to farm more of the map.
You really can't without the Aegis, which is unfortunate for them. It's going to be... I think now their goal has to shift to finding a huge pickoff. Like, the Beastmaster was really nice, but maybe if they have the lanes pushed out while they pick up the Beastmaster, that's at least a tier 3. But as it stands right now, waiting another full Roche cycle completely passively seems like a mistake. We're going to see Shibi actually looking towards the Assault Cross. That obviously has a lot of value in terms of siege, but it also is really bad against Darkseer. Well, I mentioned before, Darkseer's illusions for the Ember and the Templar Assassin aren't great because of their natural base stats. Giving auras to your heroes will enhance that potential. So the Vladimir's offering that's on the Bounty Hunter, the AC on the Templar Assassin, that can turn against you in the wall.
C9 move out with a smoke here, leading off with the bird. They get a quick sight of Francis and eliminate him just as fast. Shibi's going to get muscled back from the Haunt, but they turn instead for Zebra. Ritsu jumps in for that, and he gets the kill. Now they go elsewhere. Both Jenkins and Nushim looking to retreat. They got the Glimmer Cape on their Jenkins, so it looks like he'll make it away. Hey, but Cloud9 venture out, and they come up with a good couple of kills here, taking out the Ember along with the Bounty Hunter. This gets them back into a good comfortable position to just farm up their side. Do they have a gem? No, they don't have a gem, but they could just kind of de-ward and use the Necro Book in that sense to, you know, get control back on their side.
So I'm looking for the next thing that Leviathan can maybe try to do to bring their sums back, and this would be very comparable to what we saw in Leviathan's Game 3 against the High Council with the Rat Dota Storm Spirit. Essentially, I think that Ember Spirit now needs to spread the map in such a way that he can constantly force pressure and prevent Cloud9 from going for objectives. Because at this point, if Cloud9 gets to the next Roshan, I would give them like an 80+% win rate easily on this game, probably closer to 90+. And I think that the best way to prevent them getting involved in the Roche at all is for the Ember to pull out some shenanigans. So maybe moving around with those BOTs, those Remnants, and seeing what he can do in spite of the risk of those blinks. The blink wall response, the blink wall, we've seen it once. He has to be careful, but you have to also take risks or you're not going to be able to really force anything out of Cloud9.
I agree. Cloud9, though, already looking to branch out. Brax recently picks up those magic ruby red shoes, boots of travel. We know what a Beastmaster can use those with, being able to get himself in a moment's notice with the help of his little critters and creatures. For now, they'll continue their bit of farm. Anticipation to wait out for the next Roche to come up, something Leviathan were they lost their opportunity to make an offensive push into the base with the previous Aegis, so they do not want to let it happen again. And I agree with you. If Cloud9 are able to get this one, it's certainly their game to lose at that point. But Cloud9 will take any. They don't need to branch out there and kind of make those picks happen anymore. They're happy to just wait, stall out for the Roche, find their own farm. You got 2,600 here already on Ritsu. If he's looking to put it towards a heart, he's on the way of a Reaver. And with that, the rest of their team will continue to just waltz around, and we'll just continue this farming pattern.
Now, it is definitely worth talking about that Nusham does have an Aghanim Scepter complete. This actually in some games can be like a GG item for your team. Getting a Witch Doctor with Aghanim Scepter, getting all those bounces on your Death Ward can be amazing. In this game, not only is he dealing with a lot of stun pressure that can hit him through the Glimmer Cape, but most importantly, there are just so many damn illusions in play. The Haunt will spawn 5 illusions, the Darkseer can spawn up to 5 illusions, and there's Manta Style as well. All the Ward targets heroes and illusions alike, and you could waste a lot of bounces that way.
Yeah, I don't know how good he is at being able to take pilot of the Death Ward and be like, no, that's an illusion, target this one, then target that one. That would be quite the handful to have to deal with, and that could prove to be very frustrating for this Witch Doctor if he sees all of his precious ultimate damage mitigated amongst a vast of illusions and anything else to tank it up. So we'll have to see if that's a factor that Leviathan want to consider with their positioning on when they decide to take a fight, which could be soon. They're on the move here, smoked, heading to the northern part of the map. They're just going to miss out on a nearby MSS, and the rest of Cloud9 are just too far out from reach. And it looks like the smoke could come up short, and even SVG would be on the high ground. It could blink away from anything spotted. And it doesn't look like Leviathan are going to get the catch.
Yeah, quite unfortunate for them, of course. They do have 2 smokes left in reserve, though. They haven't really been smoking much this game, so maybe still there will be opportunities elsewhere. Just a bit of a waste of time, more than anything. Nice. I love the play you're going in the tree line, scouting out with the Hawk, and then ready to blink from the trees at any point. You can do a lot. In fact, it might be the kill here onto Francis with a BOT play as well.
Nice setup. Moves over onto the bird, blinks in. They get the quick grab on Ember. And everyone comes out to help. They even get the Jenkins follow-up with commitments from Ritsu with the Haunt. And now that means that Cloud9 are back in firm grasp. 2 down. There are buybacks. They can force these buybacks, and they're going to do so. They're just going to push in this top lane here. Francis will need to buy out, but Jenkins does not have the luxury. He'll be out on the sidelines 30 seconds here. Here comes the pressure from Cloud9. Leviathan, what are they going to do to stop him here? Have to take one hell of a Death Ward, but that ain't going to be easy.
Certainly not. I mean, they're just holding this position, trying to force them back. At least the not here, so they're actually not going for a full push, just kind of poking at it. Chibi realizes that, just punishes it pretty quickly. So at least that threat has been ended, but I still really love the play from Brax there. I mean, going up top, essentially using his BOTs as a second Blink Dagger, just allows them to do a lot. We're going to see 1-4-3-7 not get the Shallow Grave off in time. A went for the Shadow Wave, you only get 1 spell there for sure, and unfortunately chooses the wrong one.
Yeah, do not underestimate the quick damage output of a TA there. Take that as a note, any support players out there, because I've learned something. If I see a TP coming in, it's a TA with a blink, that grave is going on so fast, but not going to be so fortunate.
I think Ghost Scepter would be huge for the supporting cast this game too.
Oh, for sure. Would help with the Death Ward as well.
This is not bad. Like, he kind of lost RNG there because there were 3 TA hits and one of those should have technically missed, but that's a probability factor for you. Either way, it's an easy Roche with 2 heroes suddenly down. Aegis and Cheese could be a game changer, but as we said, it comes down to actually being in a position to go for kind of this all-in siege that I think they're looking for next.
Have we had a moment to really talk a bit about the Ember Spirit build-up here, going with Maelstrom, and he's also just has a Chrysalis, hasn't leveled that up yet, and then even has an Ulti Orb put off on the side for now? Seems, a bit halfway between a couple of things. Is there a particular reason why he's half committing and decided to go for the Maelstrom grab?
I wish I had a good explanation for it, but honestly, it just seems to be personal style here. There's a value in each item, but the synergy is kind of off, I would say. The crits aren't really that substantial. You don't have a battle fear behind those. And the Maelstrom is for farming. He's had that for a long time. So I think the Maelstrom makes a lot of sense, and now he's probably looking for a Lincoln's defensively, but the crit is kind of like in the middle there, kind of as an oddity. But either way, he goes ahead, BOT's down bottom, he's there with his team, and again, I think this is pretty much do or die.
We'll see here. They're looking to go in. Cloud9 have already started to pressure out the mid and top lane. Ritzel will stay as long as necessary. before the Haunt needs to come out or any sort of rotation. Shibby start striking the low ground. Big vacuum into the wall. That means the Haunt comes out. They get the roar onto the Ember at the bottom here. And Ritsu's looking to clear out the back staff if possible. But they pop out their mech. They retreat. They look to regroup. There's going to be the Greaves. They're nearly back to full. Death Ward from the high ground, though, is going to force Cloud9 back. They don't like that. They step back for now. Shibby with a BKB pop looking to go in. Cannot get the catch on the MSS, who blinks away. Ritsu, easily able to shrug off that melt strike. Very tanky, but Brack's not so lucky. He goes down. Shibby gets that grab. 2 down all day from Cloud9. They could even have to use this buyback here from SVG.
There's a lot of rune charges on Zebra, so they're going to keep sustained this. All they have to do is wait out the wall, and I think they can take at least a tier 3.
It's a long
it's on Ritsu to stop it.
Shibby's already in that high ground. It's going at this tier 3. They've already claimed 1 set of racks in the mid. This would put them 2 up. And now you can see C9 need to wait. They've already committed those big spells. Vacuum wall now out of the equation here. And they continue to heal up. There's a new grief set. Rax is exposed, doing work here. Ritsu and company, they just need to watch it. Can't do much about it. They're going to even pull out the glyph. And Leviathan hold their commanding position. They take a good fight. They're able to withstand the pressure of the vacuum wall. They step back, they heal up, and they re-engage.
Yeah, I mean, right there, Brax dying at the foot of the racks, given the bounty hunter some tracks, it just didn't really facilitate their defense like that. They made a good retreat when the ward came out, but the problem is the TA with that refraction blink could just get right up in their grill once again. You can't retreat from this team very easily, and even taking them out that far would probably be considered an error. So obviously with the wall, the vacuum wall, you want to follow through. You don't just want to use that cooldown and then just leave it on the floor and wait for it to expire, but all the same, that they did get caught out and they lost pretty heavily. The first set of racks, I said it was pretty important, especially as the game progresses. This second racks is putting Leviathan in a position to win the game. It is their win condition now just to get mega creeps outright, and they have a lot of ways to do that because, as we were talking about, the Ember Spirit picked up a Lincolns. He's going to be playing his rat style now, and it's going to be very difficult to pin him down.
And I'm sure they can taste victory here with just 1 rack separating them from the Megas. They're looking to build up a game plan to probably eventually rendezvous to that top lane and make that final push. Shibby's Aegis set to expire here, I'm sure, any moment. But is it worth them going through another hassle of stalling out a farming phase, Blaze, and then go in, get a new Aegis and rinse and repeat? Or by that point, could Cloud9 be even more fearsome of a defense? Or is it pressure for Cloud9 to make that YOLO play already and not allow Leviathan to get to a new Aegis?
I don't think we'll expect anything YOLO from Cloud9. They're not in that kind of state right now, although they are definitely on the back foot. Maybe some more plays like what we saw on the tree line with the Tusk, the Beastmaster, but there's no reason for the Spectre to go YOLO. That's not what the hero does. So she's looking to keep farming, and they're looking to kind of follow through with her. And I think Leviathan could take it 2 ways. They could wait the next row cycle, but with the fact that they do still have some smoke to seat left over and they're buying it now, I expect they're going to be starting to get involved. They're going to be finding more opportunities. The Aegis obviously on hand. I don't want to be relevant. Yeah, no, that's timing out in 20 seconds, but at least they seem to be wanting to force the issue while they can.
So here comes Leviathan down this top lane, with the exception of Francis, who's waiting out for now with those boots of travel. And they're starting to creep in here from the north. Brax awaits in the trees like a real wild man here, hoping to get a good jump. Nushim's like, get that bird out of here.
Watch the eastern flank. That's where the key opening is.
Oh, without question. Then Brax gets one here onto the Witch Doctor. Nice axe catch, and he's just going to get the little solo pick. Commits out their Primal Roar and their Necro Book. And already Leviathan don't like that. They just pull back. They want to have everyone on hand. Look at this. Ritsu on chase here with the Haunt. Commits down. For Shibby, it looks like first. And they start going. Mano Imano here. BKB up. Flying Zebra looks to interject, and Ritsu decides he has to pull back it off. But look at this. Chaos breaks out back and behind. Is they're going to be able to get the finish on the Jenkins. Shibby is going to be let go here. And Cloud9 only get the ankles of 2 of the players as they leave the Cloud9 base.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good opportunity executed by Brax. I think they saw the Darkseer in that general area, but they did not expect the Beastmaster coming out from that flank, and that was just a really good isolation play with Hawk Vision, of course. Beyond that, they used the ulti just to kind of bait even further. They're like, just throw in as many worms on a line as possible, trying to hook anything else they can. Jenkins was dead to right based on positioning, and they were hoping the TA would stay a little bit longer, chase the fleeing Spectre, had the cliff walking once again, and they were hoping that they could really have gotten more kills out of it. Nevertheless, a good play, good defense, and obviously Team Leviathan didn't even touch the background. So they're going to continue to farm spread, and BTS is a pretty big pickup for Rax to do that. Like, he's going to be continuing to push out the bottom lane, join the fight with her Haunt no matter where she is. The two heroes that can always be in play. All the other three move to whatever position is most compromised.
So Brax will take over for this bottom lane push. Ritsu goes on top, pressuring with that Manta and Radiance, even committing in for the defusal now. And
yeah, defusal 2 is huge, by the way, for Spectre. The people that don't know it, just run the numbers on how much an illusion hits for with this defusal 2 of getting the extra mana burn, all that agility tied into the hero. When it comes to just her ultimate alone, this is actually the highest damage per gold cost item you can pick up. Now, you also want to look at maybe a refresher orb, so you can go for the double haunt play, but that's still obviously the next tier of farm.
Yeah, that just goes into when Spectre just has that ridiculous late game potential. But look at this, Brax gets a catch on the Shibby with a beat roar, and they move in for Shibby. Big vacuum wall here. Nushim gonna be cut out on the high ground before he can get anything off. Tries to go for the cast here, but the damage continues. Finally gets the ward down, but the glimmer's not gonna be enough to hide him. Look at this, Leviathan instantly lose 4, including Shibby. Jenkins caught in the back, needs to finally TP out in a waste to safety. Cloud9 get a quick 3, pull back off. They're probably gonna scout out and see if Roche is up soon, but the sigil gives him the info. Not quite yet. The secondary timer only about to pop right now. We'll 45. See. 45. It's a very small one.
Bad, but I don't know if they can fully take advantage of it while the Team Leviathan are down. The TA down for 50 seconds now, and it depends really how much they scout this pit. If they hard scout this pit and stick to it and see it right when it spawns, they will be able to kill it before Team Leviathan can do it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll be scouted a little bit too late, and right now they just want to focus on the structural damage.
They've also picked up a Lotus Orb now into SVG, easily purges off your pesky little track or any additional slow, and there's plenty of spells to pull off a nice little cheeky reflection, sending back their own track, their own coconut. It's very easy to see coming, and just going to be a nice little additional utility tool for SVG to add to their team's arsenal here. They will now see the Roches up, but Cloud9 know that with Leviathan pretty much all back and in attendance, they're going to look to head that way next. It's not going to be comfortable here. We might go to that classic standoff plays between both teams in this Roche pit very soon.
Definitely could be found like that, but I think that we're going to see a lot more aggression still from Francis's Ember. Like, as far as continuing to flash farm waves, he has a lot of potential to cause grief. It just comes down to how comfortable he is against Brax's Beastmaster. Essentially, it's Lincoln's versus Roar. Technically, you've got the Necronomicon Mana Burn, and you also have a couple other heroes that can try to break that Lincoln's, or just Walrus punch him in the face. So, if he's going to go for split push plays, he's going to bait and try to get Cloud9 to rotate against him, and as soon as that happens, like you see here, going right into the pit. But the Sigil, the Roar will scout it out, and the Roar comes through.
Brax commits in. They want to quickly take down the Haunt, and everyone jumping on in there. It quickly take him down. With that, they regroup. Zebra moves in, gets a brief poke on a Dazzle, but that is not going to be doing a whole lot. They converge quickly onto Bounty Hunter and look to take him out. Tombstone is set on the high ground here, but Dazzle's going to be handling that. And MSS is going to get the quick pick and finishes off Zebra there. Ritsu eats the Maledict, but there's going to be the quick Lotus. Now he's able to re-engage. They get the trap. Francis, though, Remnant trying to get away from the snowball. Won't make it out. The stun will connect, but now they look to turn around, and it's Cloud9 who are suddenly in the Roche pit. And they're going to quickly try to take down the big Goliath here, while SVG will be the gatekeeper for his team, trying to keep Leviathan back.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to go for a snatch play here. No, it's way too late for that. I'm actually really surprised the TA didn't try to buy back for that one. It seems like a really important engagement that Cloud9 have just taken. Not gonna like automatically win the game for them because they're still worried about their lanes pretty heavily, but it's a huge pick to get the Aegis and Cheese in Cloud9's hands. There's still Cheese carried over from the last one for CLQ, but yeah, it's just the value that the Spectre has now that she has 2,900 HP with her first life, a second life in hand. If she gets BOT, she's pretty much as farmed as she wants to be for this next fight period. And I feel like that rush fight actually is extremely consequential and could decide the game. So we do see Shibby holds onto the buyback. That's his call saying, I really want it for later. But at the same time, that also means that he will not be able to really get involved in the rush fight, as that was a great opening from the Beastmaster, taking him out of the fight twice now from the onset.
If that wasn't already the tipping point, like that for sure is the moment that C9 have taken over this game. And it's going to be on Leviathan to kind of pull out these cheeky little plays now to try to get themselves in a good standing. I mean, what would be the ideal situation here? Is it them to hold up and put in for a good high ground defense, or do they need to go out and try to get an optimal grab on someone like Ritsu? But we already know what this Spectre is capable of into the late game. I mean, now with Heart complete, nearly 5.4k gold, especially if she's able to put together like that refresher, buyback haunt, refresher haunt, there's really no way to escape. Is this almost going to be the point of no return?
Well, we've seen some amazing things from Chilonquois from France before, so we'll see if he can use that Mjolnir and make some amazing things happen here on the sidelines. Ritsu's ready to haunt though, and Brax is not looking to fall back. This means that they are going to be facing some brute force pressure very shortly, and I don't know if they have the high ground defense, but we're going to test that theory.
Trifecta of traps being thrown down from Shibby right on that high staircase point, and Cloud9 just kind of inched their way slowly while purging off these tracks. They'll get the D ward, trying to keep themselves in the dark. Seeing those split push plays coming out from Francis here. Ember at the top lane, looking to head towards that last set of racks. Cloud9, do they engage? Waiting for that moment to put the pedal to the metal, get themselves in and look for siege. Ritsu will take care of Ember bottom lane, or top lane rather. Cloud9 still hold out. This is a very timid chess play right here. Ember makes his return, gets the quick chains onto Brax. Taking him out would be huge, but he will be able to get some surge help. Bounces back with that cask, and they go back to clearing out the wave.
Just heal him up, Lotus Orb him up, he's going to be fine and be able to back things out. However, yeah, this is still technically Cloud9's agent not getting the chance to use. They have the Refresher Spectre. This is 2 haunts that Ritsu wants to use as he looks to engage, but Shibby's traps are actually cracking me up here. There is a gem on the Darkseer, but obviously the traps don't give anything for them clearing it out, and this is the critical choke point. If they can break the base, it's through the mid here, and obviously Shibby knows it.
It's very distracting, I guess they hope, for Cloud9. Can't break them all too fast, so they're just gonna pile them all up.
And it's also essentially buying tower HP. Like if they hit the traps instead of the tower, that's how it goes. But now Ritsu's on the front, and we see Francis immediately top lane. He can't kill the towers fast, but he certainly can clear the creeps.
Tier 3 mid lane will go down. Francis Remnant's right out, and it looks like this is their point of possible engagement. They pop out the Greaves, and it looked like they were going to be getting ready to push on out, but Cloud9 are already in a good reserve position. Nice and spread. Brax looks to go in. It does not swing with the roar. Holds it for now. Ritsu will eat the stun. There's going to be the Maldic. They quickly load us up. Nothing to be reflected here. And that means he'll be able to clean out the first rack. Still leaves up the melee. C9 pulling back here. They got to get something done. Their top and bottom lane are getting pressured a bit, especially the bottom. Well inside the base and starting to inch towards their tier 4s. It looks like Cloud9 are not going to be able to utilize the Aegis and really take in the Leviathan base. They are able to do some work taking out the tier 3 and 1 racks, but probably not as much damage as they were hoping for. And look at this, Francis is already back inside the base.
Glyph?
And he's gone.
That's a glyph! That's huge! Just the fact that the Ember's able to force that without dying is a 5-minute fortification now. And that could be the difference maker, really, in these kind of tense situations that could lead to a base race. The TA is good at base racing, the Ember's not, but I think that the Leviathan are at least considering their options of how all in they can really get. Right now, Cloud9's base didn't take too much damage, just lost a bunch of Moonwells, but you see like all these range creeps piling up, a few siege creeps back here. These things would have definitely done some real damage very shortly, if not for Cloud9's retreat. So they do have to kind of fall back, and they do get the Courier back safely too. The Golden Roshan was actually, or sorry, the Golden Doomling, it was scouted out by Team Leviathan via track, and I think they were considering trying to one-shot that thing to take his refresher out. But either way, stalemate happens, some buildings die, but otherwise no blood is shed.
And would not be the first time if something were to happen where Leviathan win via creeps. Catch us off guard, catch the teams off guard. Cloud9, though, don't want to fall suspect to that. They step back and they'll be able to clear out all of these waves, and Leviathan can feel comfortable moving back out and farming on their side. We'll be waiting a bit again, though, if they want to make a move for that next Aegis here. What is turning into quite the long-winded game, but that's not the case. Look at this, Leviathan smoke up, and they feel like this is possibly their chance, maybe looking to utilize that window when the glyph is down. They want to go all the way to the top road here and probably head in.
So now we see the Ember build making a lot more sense. Finishing the Daedalus and Battle Fury, that's a synergy we're all familiar with, and could even consider a Divine Rapier over the Chief's item slot, and that would probably be his kind of best in slot, unless his supporting cast flies a Lincoln's instead of him. But all in all, I think this is, yeah, definitely best long-term build. It's just interesting how he kind of got there.
But he has committed his buyback for it, so they will have to wait for him to farm it up. But all the meanwhile, Cloud9, look at this. They just draw a beeline down this mid lane right now. And they're going right for the base. What's the intention here? They're going in, and they probably anticipate it, you know, Leviathan are moving in from the north and want to force him back sooner than later.
I think there's an interesting thing that Ritsu can do in this situation. With the base backdoor protection now broken, he can go to the top or the bottom and of the enemy base and actually be able to haunt back for the fight that would occur on the defense. So they could kind of swap what we saw before, where Ritsu was defending and everybody else was going offense, and do it the other way around, where they're all rotating to stop Leviathan's push, and then Ritsu could go forward. Problem with that, of course, is the isolated carry is in a much more precarious position, and Leviathan are not as visible as be on the map, so you need really good hawk scouting to make that kind of a play. In this case, they just all go back. It's just them all pushing out one lane, and 1-4-3-7 doesn't get caught by the DD Ember, though. That does, he did risk just getting crit there. I think it was yeah, 25% chance of one-shotting the Dazzle pretty much.
Sees MSS and just pulls back, doesn't want to risk anything here, while Leviathan are still in a more commanding position, at least as far as base destruction goes. C9 are still up just barely by net worth and XP, but at this point in time, those kind of numbers can be almost thrown out the window, as it might just come down to the execution here. Leviathan with the trip down to the bottom side, maybe hoping to catch C9 where they least suspect them. And they only lead it with a sleight of fist for now. No commitment onto the chains, and the rest of their team will pull back. And Brax will just continue to push out this top lane a bit. Leviathan being a bit crafty here, coming in from all fronts, but not really going back for that top lane push just quite yet, Blaze. Just seems like they're overall stalling out, keeping all lanes pressured so they could eventually get this Aegis. What number would it be? I don't know, 4? 5?
It would be the 5th one.
The 5th one. Magic number 5.
So, I mean, right now they're getting good control of the map. Like, there are no wards allowed to be put out by the Radiants. They're putting pressure on the lanes, like we mentioned multiple times. That's what Francis does. He pretty much has pioneered a strategy around these spirits, just jumping around and creating space. But 2 minutes on the Roche clock, that's going to be a really deciding factor. And the glyph, I think, will be actually making it back off cooldown without too much trouble, fortunately for Cloud9.
Well, we're starting to see some players here get to that near critical mass point, though. I look at Shibby, and he's getting pretty damn decked out. His BKB still holds 7 seconds, but is he good where he is, or does he need to consider making a swap out here for something a bit more effective as he trades up with Brax, gets caught with the roar. Haunt comes in from Ritsu. He gets the Glimmer save, pops his own BKB, and they converge right back for Brax. While they're doing that, they get a big catch onto Ritsu with a Maldic and a huge Death Ward, and they quickly take them both out. Both have buyback, otherwise we'll be out for nearly a minute and a half here. So this is Leviathan's chance. They will quickly push out this top lane. C9's response, try to get this mid lane out as quick as possible, and they have SVG working with the bottom.
Yeah, just good vision. Traps predicting where they're going to be moving in the tree line, and them getting caught out. The Dazzle actually almost goes down to Shibby, but gets the Grave TP home. It's just they were able to read that approach. I was curious if they're ever going to smoke to bait out the Ember Spirit. Instead, they actually just go ahead and let the TA farm, and when she's in jeopardy, they're there to bail her out. So it's not even a smoke factor. It's just a good prediction factor. They were able to have the foresight to set the trap, and they will force the Beastmaster buyback at the very least. Roshan is respawning in 30 seconds. Spectre will be down for that, and I do not think she will be willing to tap into the buyback just for Roshan.
No.
So that should go for free to Leviathan.
If it was the worst case scenario, then maybe she could have bought back refreshed for a new haunt, but not even going to be necessary at this point. Shibby's picked up a Moon Shard. I don't know if that was very recent or not, but yeah, it looks like was able to absorb the Moon Shard. Now has a serious right-click speed to go with the destructive damage, and allows her to easily clean out these waves and keep the pressure up. We'll check on our Roche here. It's already back up, Blaze. Leviathan should be moving in very soon to grab it. C9 probably got the idea. Looks like birds are on the way. Sigil's the first one flying on out. Bird is soon behind, and C9 have already smoked and are already heading that direction.
So they're going to make sure that that's not going to be given away for free. The Spectre's back up with their refreshers. I think if there was a movement immediately from Leviathan, they definitely had a window of opportunity to just take that automatically. Even 5 to 10 seconds of hesitation, and you missed that. So I'll go ahead. They'll use up the smoke, and we're back to kind of stalemate where neither team is comfortable going by themselves. They're going to smoke up, they're going to go 5-man, because that's really the only way you can take this kind of position without risk, or heavy risk.
Doing a long draw all the way through the lane down to the bottom woods, but if they don't make some sort of stop-off to scout out this Roche...
Uh-oh, this is bad.
Which
they
a
get the
tombstone
down, but they can't get in the pit.
Unless they remnant over, Haunt will come out, and Ritsu's going to stop him from getting anywhere and take as much damage as possible. There's commitments in for the Roche. The Death Ward will go down as he pops a BKB. The uppercut, though, will catch him. Now a wall committed. Shibby passes right through it. Snowball moving on out. They're going to commit in for Jenkins. Meanwhile, on the backside, you see Brax dishing out the big Primal Roar. And Ember trying to fight from the cliff above. Can't right-click any sort of damage out there. Shibby's going to go down as they just converge onto him. And the follow-up will be then quickly Nusham. It looks like Leviathan not getting the better of this trade. It will cost them the Aegis, which Brax has snagged up. But Cloud9 get the better trade. Well, Ember's still alive. C9 are back in a comfortable spot. Not if Francis has anything to say about it, though. Braxy goes right to this top lane, chops it down a bit, and will quickly slip out.
Yeah, but still, that was just great strategy coming in from Cloud9. Inside the pit, they're almost unassailable. If there was a play from Leviathan right down the steps from the Ancients, that definitely could have been a fight that Leviathan could take. But coming in from the eastern side, breaking the smoke as they kind of casually try to actually find a pickoff in the Radiant jungle, hoping the Spectre, hoping to find Ritsu farming the jungle, they go in and they kind of try to do two things at once. What ends up happening then is they're the ones that have less intel when they're on the high ground. The Hawk sees the Undying, knows about the other 4 heroes right next to him. And then the wall is perfect. That wall of replica cutting them off from any real entry to the pit. Yeah, 2 heroes are able to jump in, I think. Yeah, there's a Blink on the TA, there's the Ember with Remnants, but they can't go in by themselves, not against this lineup. So what ends up happening is all of them have to go together, and they're essentially fighting against a 300 at that point, going through the choke point.
Plus, TA can't really TP to get in there. Ritsu popping out that Haunt and that Radiance burn seemed to have to kind of try to get around the pit the old-fashioned way and just kind of force Leviathan to a very awkward position. They had a game plan set in motion, and then it also comes down, and what you look for a lot of big professional teams is how can you quickly re-strategize on the fly when you go in and you realize, oh, they're actually doing the Roche. How can they make light of that situation with the position they're put in to get the most out of it? And it looks like maybe they were a bit shaky about what they could do to get done. Ember kind of going right into the pit. Everyone else trying to, follow suit around the river, but it's a bad choke point fight for them, and they tried to make the best of it, it looked like. And unfortunately, it was much for the better of Cloud9. And they push these lanes back out. Ember, working with this top lane here, has 4,500 gold saved up. And I can't help but feel like, Blaze, that he might need to consider the big bad rapier soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what he would be looking for with this Demon Edge no matter what. I mean, MKB is nice, but the Rapier is the item that would win you the game. So in this position, I think that is what he needs to kind of gambit for. In the meantime, the BKB has come out on the Witch Doctor. He's not afraid of the Primal Roar because that's always going out on a core hero. So he's just essentially immune to the Sheepstick immune to the vacuum stuns and stuff like that. We're actually going to see a really nice smoke move here from Cloud9, though, and they might be able to find a pick off as Brax jumps in.
They're coming right from behind here. They're all scouted. When are they going to commit for it? Immediate Lotus Orb. They're going to get the roar into Jenkins. Everyone else spreads and runs as the Haunt comes out. Ritsu not looking to commit yet, but they are going to move in here for Flying Zebra, and it looks like they will easily take him down. 2 from Leviathan already out of the equation. Out for a minute. No buyback on them. Cloud9's turn to finally get some big demolishing damage inside the Leviathan home. They're going to start with this bottom lane. Good quick smoke movement. They just catch him right from behind, Blaze.
Yeah, these last 2 fights have been game-winning for Cloud9. They are going to walk right for the base. 3v5. They are in a great position to take it here. They are going to refresh for the next Haunt just in case, and yeah, Ritsu will use that actually to get back to the front line, because Chibi tried to trade a little bit there. Chibi pushes it, then TP's home. Meanwhile, the Spectre is the one who has the ability to jump to the front line whenever he needs, and it's going to be now. Oh, with the Walrus Punch, yeah.
Here comes the Haunt from Ritsu after the committed Walrus Punch. The rest of them backing up and going for the racks while that Haunt continues to force him back near the fountain. Looks like just going to be the tier 3 for now. No additional racks. Going to be taken apart here. So, not as destructive as I was anticipating here for Cloud9. Maybe a testament for Leviathan to add that little bit of pressure elsewhere. And with that, they'll be able to hold their extra racks. Cloud9.
We are going to see the MKB out of the Ember Spirit, so not going for like a kind of desperate rapier play. He's not all in just yet, but I feel like that he might not necessarily sell the Mjolnir for it, but drop the Mjolnir to have the Divine Rapier as his 7th item slot, essentially. It's probably more valuable than the Moonshard buff to have the damage when you really need it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, though, the Tusk got a ton of gold. He's probably getting another Hex. Hazel has a Hex, the Tusk will have a Hex, and they're just going to have so much control at that point. Add on the Abyssal of the Spectre, and I don't know about Leviathan's potential to take this.
Well, they're going for mid, though. They just go right for Brax. He's going to get saved with a nice snowball from SVG, however. And they're waiting for him to show himself. And look at that. Quick blink. Sets himself at the side. Might have to turn and try to get a roar off. No, not going to be happening. Even his Necro book, freshly birthed, just dead instantly. And now comes Leviathan. They've been tired of playing this game. They worked so hard to take down those 2 set of racks. They want to close this one out with a win and take the series to a 1-1 tie. They start parading right towards the final set of racks here, but they have no creeps. They have to step all the way back. And look at this. C9 recognized him, tried to pull back. One hell of a vacuum wall. And the follow-up's going to be coming out. Ritsu moves in, dominating as he gets the Haunt connection. And they're on the chase. Nusham, a weak straggler, who will be the first target it looks like here. Though he's able to get the Glimmer Cape off, will look to hide on the side, but not going to be able to make it too far. SVG gets a hold of him, sets the Walrus Punch, and he goes down. Jenkins getting chased out from a Manta Illusion. And it looks like Ember now here looks to turn and fight. He wants SVG, but there's the secondary Haunt from Ritsu. He commits in, and that sends Ember packing. What a hell of a trade happening here. A beautiful setup of MSS, but again, they're only going to be able to take 2 lives, and to be honest, it's not enough for C9 to really get out there and try to get the game back.
Yeah, but that was still a pick of the century for Leviathan. The fact that they got the Beastmaster kill and then buyback forced Cloud9 heavily on the defensive, and just killing those 2 supports is enough for Cloud9 to get back where they want to be in this game. They have so much control now. They're going to have 2 scythes, the Roar, the Abyssal. Like, they have so many ways to win a fair fight. So the fact that they kind of lost it with the Leviathan taking out Beastmaster before he could do anything, the play from MSS makes up for that, and they're able to kind of reset it to where they're in a commanding position once again. Yeah, they're down to racks, but that means very little when they're able to still force the issue in a big way. They're going to have pressure back up for Ritsu, and that means double Haunt, maybe double Abyssal, and it means a lot of bad things for Imag. They're going to have to really push the envelope, maybe even just go straight for the Rapier at this point. Like, I feel like you have to make that play. There it is.
All right. Couldn't ask for anything better. Just game 2 of our grand finals here, and Leviathan looking to go out swinging here for a game that they had been in firm control of, at one point nearly being at that 10k net worth mark at about the 35 minutes in, and suddenly Cloud9 withstand, and it's become desperate measures here almost for Leviathan as they reach in and continue to hide out this Rapier as long as possible. We'll have to see. It's big damage here. But this is a pretty durable C9 squad. You start looking at what you think will be the weaker targets here. You see Thieb and Dazzle, who has Solar Crest, a Sheepstick, a Ghost Scepter, nearly 2k in life. MSS, about the same in life. He's very stacked up. But yeah, top lane, Brax, who is alone here. Here comes Shibby, coming on top of Jenkins. They're still pinging out where Brax is. Oh, they're going to get the track, too. Brax is in trouble. I don't know if he'll be able to make it away. He's able to get the blink off. Ghost Scepter, TP, he's out.
Wow. Very fortunate there, but yeah, they just can't close the distance fast enough. Big thing is the Bounty Hunter has no mobility. This guy's running around with his own Lotus Orb, which can be very useful here, but either way, he's got the Lotus Orb, Solar Crest, the Vlad. These are all pretty high utility items, but yet you can't really as fast as you need to. It again hurt them when they tried to invade last Roshan. It's not allowing them to find those openings for quick picks like we just saw that opportunity top. I mean, there's a lot of value to the Lotus Orb. What you're up against? You're up against Roar. You're up against the Hex of the Tusk, the Hex of the Dazzle. Like, those are pretty important. But I think the greatest value you can get out of the Lotus Orb is when you're up against like a Refresher Beastmaster, where he's trying to roar twice, and you can essentially reflect or echo the first one, and then you kind of break down his chain stun. In this case, you're kind of spreading the spells out a lot. It's a good item, but it's such a narrow timing window that you might not be able to get the real value out of it.
C9 moving to the pit with the Rosh up and quickly look to take it down, and with that Solar Crest, it should take too much muscle power here. And it looks like the 6th Aegis, I believe, will be snagged up with Cheese pairing here for Cloud9. They'll take it back to their base, and I do recommend they look to end this game out sooner than later as we get to that 67-minute mark, Blaze. Things could start getting crazy. 80 minutes in, this Darkseer will start blowing up. And I don't know if the players are going to be able to handle it. It happened conveniently last year, or not last year, but last BTS Americas season. That grand final is also where we saw an 80-minute 90-minute game stretch, and the game started imploding. I don't know if we'll be revisited with the same fortunate luck, but here comes Leviathan regardless to the bottom lane. We'll have to see what they can do.
Do we know if that happens in Reborn in Sort 2? Because
that's a good question.
Might have been an optimization factor. The big thing that triggers it is actually particles, and Ion Shell from Darkseer is probably one of the biggest particles you can get, most frequently triggered. So yeah, I would have to say in any game, if it's going to happen in Reborn, it's going to happen in this game.
We'll see. Leviathan have yet to really get some bloodshed with this Rapier. He almost will just have the farm soon for a second Rapier, Blaze. I mean, is that even a thought, too?
Yeah, I mean, as far as evasion goes, you're only worried about the Solar Crest, right? There's no butterflies on anybody. So I would say that you don't need this MKB as much as Francis seemed to think when he picked it up.
So we'll see here. Cloud9 back at mid lane. Possible head on here as Theban shows himself. Ow! Oh man, Theban's like, what the hell was that? That guy's got a Rapier. He has to pull back.
There's so many hexes though. Like there's a bunch of blink hexes. This is very scary. I almost want to see it happen where Flying Zebra puts the Lotus Orb onto Francis, and then like 4 hexes come at him simultaneously, and everybody just turns into a pig. Like that would just be a clowny way to close out this one.
I would love it. Could happen here, and it could be double reflected. I mean, SVG's got his own Lotus Orb. It could be in for some real inception.
Oh, that's not technically possible, but that would be really cool.
Hey, he can hop in there after. He gets at least 1 counter hex with the Lotus purging it off. And then what happens all of a sudden is the Witch Doctor casts himself and their whole team, and the game begins its implosion process. Here comes Cloud9.
Yeah,
down this mid lane.
When the volcano erupts.
Exactly. The Poltergeist comes out. As we get 70 minutes now. Very sweaty game. Here comes Cloud9. Being assertive here, bottom lane. Ritsu waits in the dark. Throw out a dagger here. Getting closer to his refresher. Looks like they're hiding out the courier in this bottom corner. For Ritsu specifically, if necessary. While the rest of Cloud9 are looking to go in and close out this other Rax in the mid.
Ritsu has a lot of ways to get back to this fight. Mid means absolutely nothing, but they're gonna glyph it, so I guess they hold some value to it. Out of the case.
Ritsu? I don't know. He's prowling like a lion here onto Shibby. Okay. Hi, how you doing? I'm doing fine. See you later. And
both have abyssals could go very quickly one way or another, but they just don't risk it at all.
Alright, looks like they'll pull off here, and Leviathan will be able to kind of withstand the C9 pressure mid, but here they come again at this top lane. This is really getting to that ridiculous point when you only have so many scrims that can simulate a game like this. 70 minutes in, people getting decked out past critical mass, 7 slotted, refreshers coming in on the side, and you gotta formulate the best game plan on the fly as possible to get Ritsu in here, have the most optimal damage, and be able to kind of close this one out. We'll see early Jenkins getting glimmered up. This tier 3 though is siege down. Ember comes in, will help clear things out a bit, and C9 will have to avoid these very hard-hitting sleight of fists. Looks like they'll just step off.
Yeah, I tell you what though, these hyper late game scenarios really separate the more inexperienced players from the veterans. That's one thing that a lot of pros talk about, is essentially you always are going to have a chance to practice how the lane goes. You see a lot of pub stars doing so much work in the lane and the early team fights, but what shows how long and how well you play Dota is based on the duration of the game. When things get tough, when there's base race scenarios at plus minutes, being able to keep your cool and to make the right call, and those small windows, that really makes a difference between like the best pro and just a really high tier player. And yep, we're gonna see that second Divine Rapier. Not sure if he's gonna bank it or replace the MKB. I'd say just replace the MKB, but if you also have buyback, having a second Rapier with that buyback, we've heard of Medusa stashing Rapiers, and it's theoretically a good play.
Yeah, could catch C9 off guard if they think they get the one Rapier down. They're like, all right, who wants to pick it up? And suddenly buyback Ember new Rapier finishes them off from the previous battle. It could be pretty drastic. Here's Cloud9 though, still out the front door here of the Leviathan. They're gonna lead in with the bird. Give me info, bird. Gonna send them up to the high ground here. They get just only that brief little glimpse as we check out their vision on the Jenkins. While this is happening, Ritsu continues to, relieve the pressure at the bottom. Shibi also nearby with his own boots of travel. Just kind of counteract whatever Ritsu is relieving. He continues to build the pressure back in its spot. And we're just seeing almost a mirror match up to this point on what team wants to strike first.
I mean, there's always the pressure game coming down bottom. Shibi's always going to be pushing it out, and we're going to see Ritsu push it back, and it's just going to be kind of a little bit of a tug-of-war there, while constantly we're going to see both teams looking for an opening on the top. We're going to see here.
They commit in a bit of lag, but SVG is going to get the Walrus Punch. Lotus reflected right back onto Brax. He's going to eat his own Primal Roar, and Shibi begins to unload onto him, and look at that Death War. C9 got to get the hell out from this base. Ritsu not going to be so fortunate. Will get saved up from the grave. Makes it to the lower ground. Shibi on chase, though, gets a quick kill on the Theban. And now Ritsu, frantic, looking to make it away to the base. And, oh, there's not going to be a lead-in. Chains, they don't have the vision. He's going to be able to make it out safely. C9 quickly disperse. They only do lose one, but it could have been a lot worse for them if caught a bit deeper inside. Leviathan hold. And those Lotus Orbs, man, they just caused complete chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just hard to even tell what was going on necessarily, but that Lotus Orb timing was just perfect from Flying Zebra. This item is only as good as you use it to be, and Flying Zebra, he reflected a Hex and a Roar, all both at the same time. That was just really good movement there, good reaction for him. So that definitely made it much more powerful when the Death Ward ended up coming through, and now they're going to try to force it with this next one. They've got their BKB and Death Ward Witch Doctor. They've got the buyback BOT double Rapier play here from the Ember Spirit, and I think this is the best chance for them to actually break and force the Mega Creeps. Which, by the way, doesn't necessarily note GG, but it is going to be a huge step in the right direction for Leviathan.
Yeah, just the way the game's already going, if a team like Leviathan were forced to face Mega Creeps and you have an Ember Spirit with a Rapier, I'm sure they'll have some sense to take care of it. Plus you got Shibi with Sideblades. Both teams really have good ways to kind of handle these waves. Ion Shells from one side. Ritsu's able to help with the Radiance and clearing out. Game's certainly not over once the Megas come out. This could come down to crazy, crazy race. And
just want to look at the levels right now, man. Level 19 on everybody at minimum. We have the Undying and the Bounty Hunter at level 19 and above, and then we have 4 level 25 heroes.
This is it, the test of time here. You only get so many of these in your Dota play. And it's only just game 2 of this best of 3. Oh.
I'm really looking for just a little, like, there's so many different ways that you can actually try to force a base race situation here, and one of my favorites is if the bounty hunter can get multiple tracks down, bounce some shurikens to cancel some TPs. It's not the $1 million dream coil, it's the $1 million shuriken toss, and I could see situations where you could cancel so much and force that. For now, they're going for the smoke play, last smoke for 6 minutes, gotta make it count.
They're heading right towards bottom as Cloud9 want to push out the top lane here. Ritsu picks up a Mjolnir for himself. What did he replace with that?
Radiance.
Oh, got rid of the Radiance, puts more value into this, but he could lose his own life. There's a quick jump in, quick Manta response from Ritsu. They can't get the connection of the chains, and he'll just have to eat a track and walk back and away here.
Oh, they're paying it. They still want to go.
Cloud9.
They know the enemy is in their base, but they're not. I think that Leviathan could just go in here. Like, if they want to try to force it, they can force it. And Leviathan will be happy to just go for the throw.
They're starting now. Shibby goes to work on the tier 4. They see the 1 TP back from Theban for now. Roar catches Jenkins here. And now the Haunt comes out, and they're going for Shibby. He's going to be forced to BKB. A reflection comes out from the Snowball here as he rolls on forward. SVG going to be caught under the cask now. Tomb going to be committed from Jenkins, who gets caught up in the vacuum. Pulled back and in. And then they have to step off. Shibby's all the way back in base now. And not going to be here to participate, so Leviathan, don't commit in, and Jenkins will pull out. No deaths. Unless Shibby went down. Did he have to buy back? No, he made it out. Yeah.
This game.
This game.
This is pretty intense. And no glyphs for Forest, really surprisingly bloodless, and yeah, just both kind of teams playing chicken with one another. And the Necronomicon did do some decent racks damage, but it wasn't the game breaker. We do see a really big all-in pickup for is the double Abyssal, double BKB play. I don't even know how you can facilitate this though with his items. Like, it seems like everything he has is essential, because he's not like the Ember Spirit bouncing around. He will be hit by the Solar Crest, and then that mischance could be destroying his potential. Now, we've got the Aegis. Did we count it 7
this
now?
This is 7,
or?
I believe.
So the Aegis 7.
Lucky number 7. All right.
Dazzle probably picks it up, I think. I don't know. I think MSS might do it again, but I would actually argue the Dazzle could get a lot of value out of the Aegis here.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Extra grades in the fight, but they will be putting it on MSS. He takes the
Is it breaking? Where's that? I want to see the particles. I see the Ember Spirits, but
he
where
says, else? Usually it starts around this Darkseer here. I'm seeing some weird fire, though. Oh, it's happening.
Yeah,
oh, God. Uh-oh. It begins. Uh-oh. All right. Well, we'll see if that's going to make things a bit more anxious from these players. I hope they have good computers. I remember when this happened, the last grand final with the Root Gaming Squad at the time, Moo, on the Darkseer said that he was running into frame issues. But look at this. Might catch out Shibby. Big Abyssal after the Haunt. He is locked and loaded. He can't go anywhere. Shibby's out. Does have buyback. Otherwise, we'll be out for the full 90 seconds. C9 don't want to have to wait that one out. They're going charging in this mid lane. At least going to force out the buyback. If not, just go all in and try to end this.
Yeah, Glyph is still there. The buyback is definitely going to be coming through. They're going to try to do what they can on the top lane in the time being, but it looks like they're going to have to go for this full defense in the end.
The FNGs are starting to become real. They got full color. They're going to evolve and start playing with them. It looks like Blaze. Leviathan might need it, though, to hold off this defense. Oh. Now they drift towards the top lane after already clearing out. Shibby continues to reserve his buyback here. And there goes the Weave, a big one that will catch onto both the Ember and Bounty Hunter. Look out for those slides.
Dazzle!
Oh, Dazzle's in a bad position.
Dazzle's all by himself.
Very
he should
bad.
Die here.
Yep,
yeah.
Easy kill for him. Caught way out of position. Makes a killing spree for the Ember. Cloud9 pull off with just their grab of that mid lane Rax.
So they get the TA buyback, and they get the range racks up top, still getting a really good long-term advantage, but they need Dazzle back, and they might have to actually purchase that, right? Oh, look at this! This Abyssal meld play out of nowhere. He's looking to just combo up on somebody,
boom!
And it's going to be on Brax.
Yep, there's going to be the hit, the meld, the Abyssal, but the Ghost Scepter will come out from Brax, and he will look to run, but he goes right towards Ember. Nice, side step right here, looking to break the ankles here of Mr. Francis. Can he get to the low ground? No, can't make it away. Flames will catch up, and boom, he'll get smacked with a track right there at the end and will go down. Good catch onto Brax.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Temple. This TA, she's defending those secrets hardcore. I'll take a quick second to talk about the fact that Spectre has... I was giving him like 20 minutes of not shaming him on this, but he still doesn't have a Moon Shard. He's gone through like 8 or 9 item slots, and he still doesn't have a Moon Shard. I feel like that's a bit of a mistake, but there it is.
Buy back out now. They quickly will rem it and reposition here. Cloud9 considering a chase. Ritsu, to follow up his own dagger, will decide to turn around and head back. And Leviathan, that's all they really wanted. The buyback force out. And now they're like, what do we do? What do we do? Roche has already been done. We have lots of time there. Our lane's already pushed out, so we don't have to worry about that. Do we really need to step back and continue farming? Like, should Leviathan just be kind of keeping up the pressure and going right back at him again? It doesn't seem like they have much to fall back on at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything clear to be farming for at this point, other than just more items, more rapiers, whatever, but it's still like, you're not in a strategic position to take it. You're going to look for another opportunity, maybe with a meld. One thing to mention is how risky that TA's play was, because there is a gem on the Tusk. If he was the one to walk by, maybe she is the one to get picked off instead. It could be very, very risky, but Shibby made a great initiation, and Beastmaster's BOTs were on cooldown for seconds, so a big deal there as he no longer has buyback. Let's just look at buybacks. I mean, Beastmaster and TA are both down, and either one of those not being in the fight for a second time round could be completely game-breaking. They're iron shelling the heck out of these creeps, but I'm not sure if it very clearly indicates the smoke up. They make their move around the, not around the pit, sorry, but it looks like they want to actually find an opening down bottom, and I'm curious if that Imagine will oblige, or if Leviathan are just going to camp around their base and wait for what to know exactly what's around the corner.
Brax will lead out this charge here. Little smoke expedition. So smokes will be taken care of now. Looks like they scout out possibly this by this trap here. And it looks like they will come over. SVG has that gem. And they continue to wait. Leviathan know something's fishy. And they'll just kind of stay behind that safety wall.
I mean, you know they're scared when, like, Francis is not farming this top wave right now. Like, this is a gigantic top wave. It's pushing really hard, but he knows that he has to pull back until he gets a read on where his opponents are, and so they're just calling to stay in base at all costs.
Yep. One Sleight of Fist will help kind of diffuse the pressure for now. So they don't really have to break the bank here to try to hold out a strong defense unless C9 do go in for a full commitment. And Jolon Kwa calling out for some energy sent to his way from the disciples here, which they look to be obliging. If you're checking out Twitch chat, they're all feeling it right now. A lot of people getting behind Leviathan. Maybe for not the best reasons, but regardless, they want to see him at least even this series up, or will Cloud9 be able to break into the base here and lead this best of 5 with a 2-0 run? It's been a long one in the making here at 82 minutes in. What could be one of the last holds? As one Rax will remain at the top. Imagine we'll still be a full set of Rax away from Megas, but Ritsu's already knocking at that door. Shibby actually looks to come out for him. That means the dagger goes out, the haunt. They caught with the Abyssal, but looking up and above, MSS converges in, gets the big vacuum here. No wall being committed as of yet. Abyssal followed by the Flying Zebra. Newsham gets the ward down, but it's not doing that much. They're going to be reflecting it off as they heal up and walk away. Uh-oh, very scary for Leviathan here. They're going to get the coconut catch, but here comes Mr. Francis. He's got that rapier, and he's going to start dishing out the damage. Bottom lane, they already lost one Rax. Last one standing here. Is that the Megas? The difference between the Megas, it still stands up. They might get Brax. Brax is going to be able to blink away. But all the meanwhile, they will get the grab on the SVG. That means a gem is going to be down. And Leviathan will lose those Rax top.
Oh, Spectre's going top? Haunt. No, she's going bottom.
She's going in for bottom, but she loses out. Ember gets the grab there. Ritsu moves in. Not going to be able to get the catch. Ember's back again. There's going to be a vacuum. Oh, they do reflect it out. But that means the Divine Rapier is going to be on the ground. MSS frantically pinging. Has them both now. MSS double rapier on this Darkseer as he runs back it away.
Gosh. They catch Ritsu though.
They're manning up. They're trying to, but he doesn't have the damage he once did. And Ritsu's reflecting it back. But here comes Shibby. Big Abyssal catch. Ritsu goes down. Does have buyback.
Yeah. The buybacks are drastically favoring Cloud9 at this point in time. There's 4 buybacks on the Radiant side, not a single one on the Dire. The Witch Doctor is close, and soon enough the Templar Assassin will find it as well. But man, this is brutal to lose those rapiers like that. The Darkseer just gonna be able to hang on to those for dear life. That's immense. And you can't drop rapiers, right? Like this is stuck on him now.
It is stuck. There'll be one hell of a karate
no Guardian
chop.
Greaves, no boots.
Yeah.
Just 868 damage.
It's one hell of a karate chop if he gets in there, but more than likely going to be hanging back, utilizing his swift move speed, Shivas, and Blink.
They want to break the base. They're just going to go for the throne, I think, here.
All right, Deso committed here from Francis. Will he get in and get the job done? First tier 4 will go down. Tomb is going to get dropped. Double chains connecting here on Team and MSS. But meanwhile, Ritsu looks to move in, quickly takes care of the tombstone. Nushim's new death ward is going to be sidestepped. Rendered pretty ineffective. They continue to move in for the tier 4s instead. It looks like this tier 4 will drop. Throne now exposed. They still have a glyph. They're going to be losing Team, and he's going to be forced to buy back. Brax is still down. And now the Sleight of Fist come out. Snowball in from SVG, trying to get the catch. He himself will go down. Same with
the rapiers.
And look at Leviathan go. Ritsu's in trouble. He's going to get the help of the Grave, but they've already gone for the throne here. And it looks like they're going to finish it out. Shibby looking to muscle through the glyph. The glyph ends, and it looks like he will be connection, and Leviathan will win Game 2.
Oh my gosh, just to set the tone for this best of 5 series. A hell of a game from both sides here. Leviathan, we were talking in about 30 minutes how they were starting to taper strategically, how they didn't have as much potential, but you add in Divine Rapiers, you add in all this global play, you add in just 1 or 2 pickoffs,